Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel, and if you're new to my channel, hello, my name is Gabby and welcome. And if you've never been here before, don't even know what I do, never seen my face, here on my YouTube channel I cover true crime cases. All of the cases that I cover are more on the vintage side. They're all basically 20 years or older. So if that's something you might be interested in, maybe go down below, hit that subscribe button, take your shoes off, jacket off, stay a while. I'd love to have you here. So for the last 4 months of the year, I have it planned that every single month I'm going to have a different theme, and it is November, so of course I have a new theme, and this month is going to be No Trace November. All of the cases that I cover this month are going to have to do with disappearances. People who have mysteriously vanished, we don't know where they went. We don't know what happened. No trace. The case that I have for you all today is probably the only case that I've ever covered on my channel where it's pretty obvious that the person that this story revolves around, they just decided on their own to up and leave. But it's really the information and the clues and everything surrounding it and how old it is, and we still have no answers, that makes it so strange. So with all of that being said, let's get right into the case. Today, we discuss the unsolved disappearance of Beverly Sharpman, a girl with a secret that turned into a 73-year-long mystery. Beverly Sharpman was born on December 10th of the year 1930. She often went by the nickname Babe. She was the daughter of Samuel and Nettie Sharpman, who got married in the year 1922. Beverly also had an older brother named Bernard, who was 24 years old. Her family made their home in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and this story takes place in the year 1947, making Beverly 16 years old at the time. At 16 years old, Beverly was a junior attending Overbrook High School in the Overbrook section of Philadelphia. She was a girl with good grades, a very caring personality, and someone no one expected to just up and leave her old life behind. But that might be exactly what happened. On the evening of September 10th, 1947, Beverly had something on her mind. It was something that she needed to get out to somebody. She seemed very troubled, and she went to her mother, and her mother at the time was getting ready to make tea, and Beverly went up to her and said that she needed to tell her something. Of course, her mother wanted to know what was going on, but Beverly kind of took a step back and said that she changed her mind. She didn't want to tell her mother anymore, and that she was just going to go up to her bedroom. So she retreated up to her bedroom, and her mother was kind of left there making tea, wondering what her daughter wanted to tell her. Her mother, though, decided that she was not going to pressure Beverly into telling her. She was just going to let her go up to her bedroom, finish the night, and if Beverly wanted to come to her eventually about what she wanted to tell her, that she would. If it was important enough to Beverly, she would let her mother know what was on her mind. The next day, on Thursday, September 11th of 1947, Beverly woke up for school, and on this day, she had to register for her senior classes. Nothing seemed out of the ordinary to anyone around her that day. She returned home from registering for her senior classes at around 11:30 a.m., and she told her mother that she was going to go up to her room and rest for a bit. At noon, her mother left the home to go shopping, and when her mother returned home, Beverly was not there. The next time that Beverly was seen was a little bit later in the day at the Baltimore and Ohio Railroad Station in Philadelphia at 24th and Chestnut Street. Beverly was spotted there carrying a suitcase, and that was it. There are tons of strange disappearance cases out there that involve letters, and this story is no different. Later on in the evening, at around 7:30 p.m. on September 11th, her parents received a telegram at the door sent from the Baltimore and Ohio Railroad Station's Western Union that read, "Got married, leaving town, will not be back, don't worry, signed, Babe." To say that her parents were surprised is a complete understatement, because her parents had absolutely no idea who Beverly could have gotten married to. Of course, teenagers do keep things from their parents, but Beverly's other family members and very close friends also agreed that they had absolutely no idea who Beverly was going to get married to or had gotten married to or was even interested in. Now, Beverly did have a best friend, and this best friend's name was Claire, and when Claire was questioned about Beverly's disappearance and Beverly getting married and this whole telegram situation, Claire was just as confused as everyone else. Claire was somebody that Beverly told everything to. Now, Beverly didn't tell a lot of people in her life everything that was always going on, but Claire was like her diary, and Beverly never mentioned to Claire that she was even talking to anybody in a romantic way. Samuel and Nettie Sharpman notified authorities at this time, told them what was going on, and authorities started looking into the events leading up to Beverly leaving. Come to find out, the day before Beverly sent that telegram, she had actually quit her job at the radio distributing firm she was working at, called Trilling and Montag. She worked there for about 16 months, and she had dreams of becoming a disc jockey and possibly eventually moving out to Los Angeles, California. That same day, she even withdrew $173 from her savings account, which in today's time would be a little over $2,000. The thing, though, is that to withdraw money from savings, it was going to take about 2 weeks. You would have to give a 2-week notice. But Beverly, a week earlier, stated that it was an emergency, and because of this, she received her money in a week's time. Based on that, it seems like she had the plan of leaving for at least a week and decided to head out right after she got her money. The strangest thing of all, though, is that co-workers of hers told how the day Beverly resigned from her job, that she told them that she was going to move to Chicago, Illinois, a city over 700 miles west of Philadelphia, and that was the reason that she was quitting her job. Based on all of the information, it seems like Beverly left willingly. But the thing that baffles everyone about this case is that she really left no trace, which is, of course, pretty fitting for this month's theme. Like anyone, Beverly had casual male acquaintances, but none of these male acquaintances stuck out to authorities or Beverly's family members. And none of these male acquaintances also left town around the same time that Beverly did. Based on the telegram, it had said, got married, past tense. So authorities looked into marriage records to see if there were any marriage records in all of the 50 states that were made out for a Beverly Sharpman, and there was not. So if Beverly Sharpman had actually gotten married, chances are she used a different name. The Sharpmans did actually have some family all the way in Chicago, Illinois, and they reached out to them, but no one in the area claimed to have heard from or seen Beverly. As word spread about Beverly, hundreds upon hundreds of letters came into the police station from people claiming that they had spotted the teenager, but none of these sightings could be proven, and they searched main cities in America like Chicago, Detroit, New York, and Los Angeles, but they found nothing. Her family spent a small fortune trying to find her. One newspaper insert published in the Pittsburgh Press on the 1-year anniversary of her disappearance reads, "Philly mother seeks girl here. A distracted Philadelphia mother has searched the nation for 12 torturous months to find her missing daughter." Mrs. Nettie Sharpman of 4207 Viola Street now has written to Pittsburgh in hopes the girl, Beverly, is somewhere in the city. The mother has traveled, written, and phoned to cities in Maine, to California, and from Chicago to Miami without success. Beverly disappeared from her home in the fall of 1947. There has been no word from her since. Mrs. Sharpman is writing and calling from her daughter's room, where she has maintained a lonely and vigil, hoping for Beverly's return. In that same year of 1948, Beverly's grandmother, her name was Mary, she unfortunately passed away, and many of the family members thought that her grandmother had passed away a little bit earlier than expected due to the stress of losing Beverly and not knowing where she was. Many family members held hope that possibly wherever Beverly was, that she would see the obituary and that she would surprise everyone and show up to the funeral. Nobody thought that Beverly would miss her grandmother's funeral. Possibly Beverly never saw the obituary, but she was definitely not at her grandmother's funeral. During the funeral, everyone was kind of looking around, hoping that Beverly would show up, but she never did. 1948 also had something else happen, and that was when one of the main leads occurred in this case. In May of 1948, Beverly's family received a postcard from Blue Ridge Summit, Pennsylvania. It was signed by Mr. J. Edwards and read, "Beverly Sharpman was working in Charleston, South Carolina on April 8, 1948. I spoke to her and I noticed she was a northern girl and didn't belong in the South. She was living in West Street with a girl named Bobby Wilson. She may have left Charleston by this time." The Philadelphia Missing Persons Bureau got right on the lead and phoned the Charleston police. There was an investigation done in Charleston, but they couldn't track down this woman said to be Beverly. If it was her, she had left by the time an investigation was being done. There was no clues as to Beverly Sharpman having been in or being in this southern city. As for this Bobby Wilson, information online about her is very limited. Personally, when it comes to this case, one of the saddest things is how hard Beverly's family tried to locate her. I mean, they were absolutely desperate when it came to finding Beverly, and they would put out different articles in the newspaper and they would put out different ads through the years, and they were all mostly just offering up things to Beverly to get her to come home, begging her to come home, and just pouring their hearts out to Beverly, just not even just wanting her to come home, but even if she would just reach out to them and let them know that she was okay. According to the Philadelphia Inquirer, here are some of the ads put out through the years. In 1949, Beverly Sharpman, call TR7 7379, will send money for clothes, signed Mother. A year later, Beverly Sharpman, babe, where are you? Please come home, we love you, I'm ill. Call TR7 7379, signed Mother. 2 years after that, Beverly Sharpman, babe, it's Mother and Dad's wedding anniversary today. Call or write, ... love, Bill. Another year later, Beverly Sharpman, happy birthday, babe, come home, call TR7 7379, signed Mom and Dad. And one of the saddest of all is from a 1950 newspaper. Nettie wrote, I want some word or sign that you are alive. Please contact me in your own way. I'll meet you anytime, anywhere. I'll sell my home and belongings if necessary. I've got to find you. The Sharpman family were financially okay. They were definitely not rich, but they were well off and able to offer up a reward. They started out with $250 as a reward for anyone who had any information that would lead them to Beverly, and then a little bit later on they boosted that up to $1,000. When it comes to older cases like this, of course you can look around on articles and websites online, but one of the best things to do is to try to find newspaper articles. And I did find 2 newspaper articles about this case that mentioned something that is not usually brought up online in articles on different websites covering this case. 7 years after Beverly left home, a letter was sent to her mother with a Fairless Hills postmark on it. Fairless Hills is a place in Bucks County, Pennsylvania. Fairless Hills is less than 30 miles northeast of Philadelphia. Joseph Komarnicki, who was the supervisor of the Missing Persons Bureau of the Philadelphia Criminal Identification Division, said that the letter bore the signature Lee Davis. He stated that a handwriting expert examined the letter and had reason to believe it was written by none other than Beverly Sharpman. I personally could not find much information about what was written in the letter, but I did find another newspaper article that states the letter did mention that the family and authorities should seek Beverly through the help of foreign police. The area of Fairless Hills was searched for a woman named Lee Davis, and people in the area were asked to come forward if they had any information regarding this woman or the case itself, and nothing much seemed to come of this new search for answers. They couldn't find a Lee Davis, and no one seemed to know this woman in that area. Based on my research, the family did notify authorities right after Beverly left town, and of course there was this huge search done and they were searching through the years, but the family did not officially file her as a missing person until 1954. This was 7 years after Beverly's disappearance, and that was the time that they received this letter from this Lee Davis. In personal opinion, it is very strange if this Lee Davis was actually Beverly Sharpman, because if she was leaving town, why would she pick an area so close to Philadelphia? And also, why would she write out the letter in her actual handwriting and not, say, like a typewriter? Many people did think, and even authorities, that since in 1954, that is when they filed her a missing person, that possibly this was a joke, and maybe this was a joke and the person responsible for sending this letter wanted to throw off the family and throw off authorities in their search for Beverly. This is very odd. It's a very peculiar part of the story, but there's only 2 articles online that I could find about it. Nonetheless, even though it seemed like Beverly left of her own accord, authorities were still trying to find her. That was their duty, that was their job, that's what they were trying to accomplish, but they were never able to. According to the Charlie Project, at the time of Beverly's disappearance, she was about 5 feet 3 inches tall and weighed about 135 pounds. She was last seen wearing a gray or brown suit/dress, flesh-colored stockings, and brown or black shoes. She also had on earrings. She had brown hair and brown eyes, and like I said before, she often went by the nickname Babe. She has been classified as an endangered missing person, and if she were alive today, she would be 89 years old. As old as this case is, if you do have any information about the case, authorities ask you to please call the Philadelphia Police Department at 215-685-3252. Remember that you can always stay anonymous. I was curious when the rest of Beverly's family passed away, and I found their information on findagrave.com. Beverly's mother passed away in 1975. Her father passed away in 1981, and her brother passed away in 1995. I also read online that when Beverly's father passed away, he did list her as his beneficiary, meaning that even until 1981, when he passed, he believed that Beverly was out there somewhere and that possibly getting some of his money that would urge her to come forward. We have no idea why Beverly decided to leave, but based on all of the information, it seems like she did leave on impulse. I mean, she only really had a little bit of money, which in today's time is, you know, a little bit over $2,000, but still that's not going to last you a very, very long time. And she only brought a suitcase with her. She never returned for anything else, and it seems like based on the week's time that she had before she finally got the money that she withdrew, she was kind of thinking about this for at least a week's time. We don't know how long she was planning this, and we don't know her reasoning behind leaving. All of her family members, everybody who worked on the case, her best friend, everyone who knew her, went to high school with her, have basically all passed away for the most part without knowing what ever happened to her. But there are a few theories as to what possibly was going through her head. A lot of people from my research who look into this case, and many experts, believe that her telling her coworkers she was going to Chicago was just something she mentioned to them just as an excuse for her leaving her job, and that was not actually her destination. I couldn't find any information about whether they were able to find out where she bought a train ticket to that day that she was spotted at the station. Some people also considered that it wasn't actually Beverly who sent the telegram to her family, and that it was someone who simply spotted her at the station. I, on the other hand, do believe it was Beverly who sent the telegram. But the marriage thing, of course, throws you off a little bit because no one knew anyone she had been interested in or was talking to, and they had no idea who she would possibly get married to if she had gotten married to someone. Possibly she included the marriage thing just so her parents would think that she didn't go off alone and that maybe she was in good hands with somebody. We really have no idea. Another theory, and this is a huge theory that came up in recent years, in the Philadelphia Daily News in 2008, Detective Valerie Miller Robinson brought up the possibility that maybe, just maybe, Beverly left because of an unplanned pregnancy. You do have to consider that back in the day, back in the 1940s, it was very looked down on to have a child before you were married. Maybe that was what she wanted to explain to her mother the night before her disappearance, but she just couldn't find herself to do it. Of course, this is just a theory. The fact, though, is that Beverly left and there has been no record of her anywhere for 73 years. It is a mystery, and it's a mystery with no trace, and that's why I chose it for one of my cases to discuss on my channel this month. And it's a case that I really want to know your opinion about. So if you have any opinions about the case of Beverly Sharpman, definitely leave those down below in the comments below this video. It's one of those cases where everything surrounding it is very heartbreaking, but you just kind of hope at the end of the day that maybe nothing horrible did happen to her and maybe she just left and lived a life somewhere else. We don't know what was going on behind the scenes with her family. We don't know any of this. So it's just all very confusing. And before I leave, I do want to say that I have new merch up in my merch shop, and it does have to do with my little channel mascot, Theta, and it's basically just a little animated Theta with a little bloody handprint behind it, and I love it. I think it's so cute. Little channel mascot, and of course, true crime related. And do keep in mind that some of the money for my merch is going to be put to the side, and it's going to be going towards true crime related fundraisers, so remember that. And with all of that being said, I will see you all in my next video. Oh, you're feisty. Bye, guys.